Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome to the 92nd Annual St. Peter's Fiesta. I'm here with Maureen Aylward, my co-host once again. How are you?
Good, how are you, Corey?
Great, and you are watching Now We're Here, the live show that we're doing for 1623 Studios in and around Cape Ann, bringing you to all the different neighborhoods that make our area so beautiful and unique. And today we thought, what else? We're ready to kick off Fiesta, so what better place to be than right here in St. Peter's
That's
Square?
right. This is the summer classic for us.
Yeah.
Right? This is a summer classic. When we're not talking baseball, we're talking St. Peter's Fiesta. Everybody loves this festival. It's just beyond what, what folks have been doing for a long time. That didn't make any sense, but we'll just keep going.
Well, first we got to be thankful to Chris Palazzola, Joe Novello, and the whole crew here.
Yeah.
They're still building the stage out and setting up the chairs and everything. And they allowed us to set up here on the stage for the next few hours because we actually have a couple things we're bringing you today.
Yes.
Not only do we have about 10 or so guests talking all things Fiesta, from the steamboat races to the 5K road race to the novena, et cetera, et cetera. We're also going to be broadcasting Short and Sweet, the food podcast, live later on today with Angela Sanfilippo of the Gloucester Fishermen Wives Association and with Cindy Hendrickson of Cape Ann Foodie Tours. So we've got a lot going on here.
Yeah, we've got a great show, and if anybody wants to come down and visit, you come right into St. Peter's Fiesta, and you can come right up to the altar and have a look at the production today. So I think we're ready for our first guest.
Well, eventually, yeah. We're gonna have a
Not
lot
yet?
of guests. Yeah, Jimmy Tarantino's gonna be joining us shortly. We also, earlier, if you didn't check out, you can go to my Facebook page. This will be shared all over the place. We talked to Sam Frontiero.
Sam Frontiero was excellent today.
He was awesome. He had won the Greasy Pole at age 42, I believe. That's a record.
On a Sunday. It was
yeah.
one of the Sunday Greasy Pole in the year 2000.
Right.
He
had won it before.
Right,
But then he
right.
became the oldest winner ever. And he was going to be a guest today. And then he got a lumping job right off the bat this morning. Got called in. So he was here, and then we got him, and then he went off to one of the boats. So lumping, basically, he's helping to unload the the fish off the boat. So that's what he's doing right down here on the working waterfront. But in the meantime, we have a great bunch of characters to share with you today, including Jimmy Tarantino. Nicole Kukru's here behind me. She'll be joining us shortly, talking about how her grandmother began the rosary for the parade, and her family carried on a float for years. So we'll be talking to her. Leanne Palazzola is a women's steamboat racer, so she'll be here as well. Cindy and Caleb Perry, that's a mother and son, talking about women's steamboat racing and the junior racing, which almost didn't happen. And that got salvaged this year. And then later on, Carol Meyer and Tim Flaherty from the Cape Ann YMCA talking about the 5K road race, which is tomorrow evening. And then also, we're going to have Laura Ventimiglia. She's the author of Nonna. What is St. Peter's Fiesta? The great children's book that's all over the place right now, which is actually going to be turned into a play.
Yep, we're going to have Heidi Dalen, April Smith, and Leah Numerosi talking about the children's play that's going to be at Gloucester Stage Company. And that's on Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Gloucester Stage. And we are ready?
We're ready to roll. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Corey. This is Maureen. This is Now We're Here for 1623 Studios. Join us live now from the stage. His home away from home is Jimmy Tarantino. What's up, brother?
Jimmy, welcome.
It is my home away from
So
home.
Jimmy,
Is this
just
great?
speak right into the microphone here so
Thank
we can
you.
get
Did you bring us something?
Yeah,
I
what
did.
is this?
Really?
We'll get to that in a second.
Oh,
But I
awesome.
want to touch on you. It said the home away from home.
Yeah.
You know, growing up around here, the altar, when I used to row seine boats, I used to talk to the fellows, Chris Palazzola, and say, Chris, make sure those stairs are nice and sturdy, because when I carry my children up on my shoulders, I don't want anybody getting hurt. So the running joke when practicing for seine boats is, I'm checking the stairs and make sure they did a good job. So,
Yeah, that's
you know,
great.
just having fun with the guys.
Now, you grew up literally right here in the fort.
Yeah, for
I actually, my family, Tarantinos have been here for many, many generations, but I just kind of hung around down here.
Oh, yeah.
You could say I grew up here, even though I didn't. I was resided on Commonwealth Ave.
I see. Yeah.
But as soon as I was old enough to go out of the neighborhood when the street lights came on, I was pretty much living down here.
Right.
That's great. So what is a little story that you can tell us, Jimmy, because you're a storyteller, about a favorite Fiesta moment or something you remember from when you were a kid, or maybe even a more recent story?
Well, if you got a couple days, I can give you all kinds of stories. But one of my favorites, you know, we're very proud in the community, and we consider this the best time of year. We even wrote a song one time. We changed the lyrics to "It's the most one," and we changed it all to feature the seine boat and the greasy pole and the procession and the novena and all the things that are special about the holiday. But I think one of our favorite things we used to like to do as young hoodlums was Sunday night at midnight. They would shut the lights there after they walked St. Peter around the fort and put them away for the year. It was very heartbreaking for us that it was all over. So we knew where the switch was to turn the lights back on. And back then the lights went all the way around the fort. So I give Joey Parmesano 10 fingers, and he'd give Tommy Favazza 10 fingers, and they'd reach way up where they thought only ladders could reach.
Yeah.
And we would turn the power switch back on, boom, and we'd celebrate Fiesta till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the early days of Fiesta, of course, it was basically very familial. All the homes were open here for people to sort of to go in and feast and pray, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
What was that like being a part of that?
It's still going on today. There's
Yeah.
still, it's not as many people. It's not every house anymore. There's still just a few. But when I have guests on Fiesta time, it's really important that after the parade, I take them into the community and go in. Don't even have to, the doors are open. You don't even have to knock on a door.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Janine Shimataro will be hosting. Tommy Malloy lives up the fort. He'll be hosting.
Yeah.
So I'll make a walk around the fort. Of course, my family's still up there.
Right.
So, Jimmy, you know what this reminds me of? Is one of the first times we hung out was at Joe Novello's home. Because they break bread on Sunday evenings
Oh,
too.
yeah.
We were there, we had dinner, and I mean, it's awesome. He's such a great guy.
Well, I heard you mention Laura Ventimiglia, who
Yeah.
wrote the
Yeah.
book,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I see her regularly. We have what's still considered every Sunday night, if Joe's not traveling, Sunday night at Joe's features several Italian families and friends and rowers, and anybody who wants to, because he does it right in his garage, and the garage door
Right.
is open, and you can come in and homemade
Yeah.
pizza he makes.
Awesome family.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's great.
a real strong community.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
So, can I just
yeah,
I
go
want
ahead.
to
I
give
have
you
a
the
question
gift.
for you. Yeah, what
So,
is this?
I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag, literally, because this is a real secret in the Sicilian community. I don't know if people know about Samanzis. They're the squash seeds
Yes.
you can get at Virgilio's or Scalafani. And
Should we
at night or in the morning, Sicilian families who are really good and prayed to St. Peter get a visit from the Samanzi Fairy. And I happen to be have connections with the Samanzi Fairy.
Oh, you do?
So families in the community find these on their doorstep.
This is
There are several
beautiful.
families that can claim a visit and they find them on their doorstep or in their mailbox or around the back. So
Yeah.
That's a
uh,
wonderful tradition.
That's a- yeah.
compliments
Bonus
from the
Beautiful.
Samanzi Fairy.
That's
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Thank you so much. How do you keep Fiesta alive with your grandchildren?
Yeah, so that is so
How do you
important.
pass it down?
And
Yeah.
yeah. So it's real good, strong tradition. Everybody seems to want to walk their children around with St. Peter.
Yeah.
Whether the kids have a nap or you keep them up late because it happens at midnight.
Yeah.
And you can really feel the energy in the neighborhood when St. Peter's walked around. You can feel the love because people love their traditions, they love their history, and they love their culture and their families and friends. And that's what it's all about, you know. And so you want the children to feel that, whether it's carrying them up on the altar if you're fortunate enough to win an event, or just walking them around St. Peter, taking them down, and they feel it. I mean, my 2-year-old grandson already says "duty, duty." You know, he doesn't have the whole saying down yet. He's
getting
figuring it
there.
out.
What is it?
Mago samo tutte mute.
Duty means we all.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a good first word for him to learn, isn't
Yeah.
it? We all participate, we all share in that history and that culture. So he's got the first word down right anyway. But more importantly, I think when he's immersed in that situation, you can feel it. And if once he gets that feeling, the rest will just come.
Yeah. Well, what does this whole Fiesta vibe mean to you personally?
So to me, it's all about love, faith, and gratitude. And if you've ever been to the Novena, people that live in Gloucester, if you haven't been, that's a big thing. Go up there. There's 9 nights, is it? They'd say the
Yep.
prayers.
Yep.
If you can get up there, if you don't feel the love and gratitude, then you're not really connected to life, because you can feel it when you go in there. Those women are all, and those are the real, the Joe Novellos that are behind the scenes, the Linquatas, the Aiellos, all the families that are behind the scenes that don't get, they're not all loudmouths like
Good,
me.
they're
that
not looking
wanna-
for right.
They're not looking for anything, but they immerse. Chris Pozzola, all these, there's so
Yeah.
many families, I could go on, that spend weeks dedicating themselves to preserving this cultural tradition.
Yeah.
And and they pass it on. And their children are all up there. I'm amazed that they're so proud. All the older women that have been doing it for 40, 50 years now.
Right.
I'm so proud of the young people that are still coming up. And I think it's something that will never go away in this community. You know, everything changes, everything evolves, but the love and the culture and the history that's been so well, the roots are so grown that it's not going to go away. It's a beautiful thing.
So that to you, then I guess that's your favorite aspect of Fiesta: the familial ties, the community ties, carrying on that tradition.
Absolutely.
And
The love of family and friends and the sharing of that gratitude. And, you know, there's times, believe me, I love the competition of the seine boat race. But before I ever get in a seine boat, I sit in front of this altar and I'm wondering what St. Peter is thinking right now, what he feels. I'm trying to make that connection to what is so important to the most people that make this happen. It's about the love and the faith of family and friends, that and the gratitude. You know, they're saying the prayers for hopefully good catches. You know, it all started with a fishing tradition.
Right.
So that's what I feel most.
Well, the carnival is one thing. You know, it's fun for the kids and fun for young people, but it's equally important to go to some of these other things like the novena and the processional and the, you know, just seeing all of that happening
Absolutely.
as part of it.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, the carnival's fun too, but it's really all is a celebration of what is most important,
Right.
and that's the love and gratitude of family and friends.
That's
And
great.
it's awesome even seeing the event swell. There's so many people from outside the area, outside of our community coming
Who
in.
come
to
in,
enjoy
I
it.
know.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really cool too. I mean, the population literally will triple or quadruple this weekend.
That's right.
Around here.
Yeah,
right.
and those are the people I love bringing around. You know, it's my favorite to immerse them in the culture. If you go up in front of I'm going to draw a blank. Tim Oakes used to do the cannon, the confetti cannon in front of Mike's house, Mike and Rosie. But I'm drawing blanks on names.
That's
now.
okay.
But boy, you can feel, because that's where every community in the parade, there's different sections of Sicily, all represented, different statues, different saints, and they all stop there. And boy, you can feel the love pouring out of the guys that are doing the chanting for their saints and for their communities. So every time I bring somebody from out of town, I bring them to where I think they're most going to feel it, whether it's in somebody's kitchen up the fort or out in front of during the parade and the procession to feel that. That's it.
Yeah. So
Well,
now,
Jimmy,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say. Well, now that Fiesta's just about to kick off, what's your schedule like now?
Oh, it's I stay pretty busy because I've been blessed with the opportunity to do the announcing for the sporting events.
Right.
And that's really important because every family that has a son or its grandson or a nephew in the events, they want to hear their names. So you got to get all the names. The eliminations are tonight. I actually double as sort of a judge if it's a close race, and that can be dangerous.
I bet.
Because last year we had such a close race, so I got a pretty busy schedule, and
Some
I have to look at my phone
responsibilities
every
here,
once
yeah.
in a while.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Jimmy.
Yeah.
It was wonderful
Really
to
cool.
My
hear your
pleasure.
perspective, and it's always great to talk with you.
Thank you so much.
Bona
Great.
Fiesta,
Bona
Jim.
Fiesta.
That was
Bona Fiesta.
awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time. I
Thank you
appreciate
so much.
it.
Bye,
Thank you,
Jimmy.
Tarantino, folks. Thank you. And if you're just tuning in, we're here at St. Peter's Fiesta, kicking off the 92nd annual signature event for Gloucester and I guess the whole of Cape Ann, as the tourists are pouring in now. And we're going to try to share with you the sights and sounds, but wait till this blossoms this evening, and then tomorrow when the carnival kicks off.
So our next guests are Carol Meyer and Tim Flaherty from the YMCA.
The
We're going
Y.
to talk about the road race. Welcome, Carol and Tim.
Hey, Tim,
Good,
how
how
are
are
you?
you?
Good to see you again. How are you?
Great
Hi,
to
Carol.
see you.
Nice to meet you.
Great to see you. Lovely to meet you.
Thanks for doing this with us.
I know.
Yeah.
So I might have to do a little bit of this. I'll hold it.
Okay.
So we can get both of you together.
Okay. All right.
Good? We're good.
We're good.
Good on camera. Okay. So Carol and Tim, the road race helps to support Y programs, and especially this year, the summer learning loss prevention. And can you talk first about the road race and why it's so important to Fiesta? Because it's a big deal now, right?
It's a huge deal.
Yeah,
big
it's a
deal,
big
It's
deal.
a huge deal. We have people coming from, I think, 10 states. We have over 600 runners, and by tomorrow, and when we go off, it will be close to 800. And it's just everyone in the town is just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's nothing
we're
like
excited.
running through downtown Gloucester and all
Right.
the area that
during Fiesta.
Yeah, during Fiesta. This is crazy.
Yes, yes, but you know,
a lot of kids and adults and families running.
Yeah.
It's it's a great community event.
I think that's the coolest part about the Fiesta 5K. It's like there's just 7-year-olds running it too, and they do
Yeah.
like they kill it when they're out there
Yes.
too,
Right.
with their parents or whomever, or just on their own.
Yes. Yep.
I think it's so awesome that it took off and became such a signature event of the Fiesta.
Yeah.
What was
Yes.
that like to see it actually be accepted by the entire community like that?
Right.
So I've been doing this for 2 years,
Yeah.
and so my knowledge is a little young.
Mm-hmm.
But Tim has been here for many more years than that, so I will.
Well, it's great. It's what the Y is all about, the community and kind of getting involved. And the Fiesta is obviously a big part of that. So to see it kind of take off and see so many, like she said, 600 runners, we'll have 800 by tomorrow. It's a pretty good feeling. And that's what the Y is. It has that feeling about trying to help out the community and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. And so for people who don't know, do you want to walk us through the route for the 5K?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So we start at Stagefoot Park
Yeah.
on the downhill between the tennis court and the ball field,
Mhm.
the lower ball field, and you take a right and go over that Lyman Bridge,
Yep.
which they keep down for us for 15 minutes.
Thank God.
Thank heavens. And then we come right across the boardwalk down here in Rogers. We get to the pier,
Yeah.
take a right on the pier, left on Wall, left on East Main, where the police do stop traffic, and then right back on Rogers, and we end right there. So,
Yeah,
and then
right
the
over our
award
shoulders.
ceremony is here,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun. Yeah.
So anything you're looking forward to this year in particular, or?
Good weather.
Do we know how we're looking so far?
I think it looks pretty
So
good.
far, so
Yes.
good.
Good,
Yes.
So good.
And this is tomorrow evening at
Tomorrow
6,
evening,
right?
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You can register before the race if you didn't have a chance to register.
Oh, good. So
you
there's
can-
still time to register.
Yep, we'll
Great,
be
great.
there by 4:15. You can come over, register, and then shirts are a commodity. They're collector's items, but you can get one if you get there early.
Yeah.
And the good thing about the money raised, it goes to the summer learning loss program, but
Right.
also
Yeah.
goes to Fiesta committee as well.
Oh, it does?
Raise money
Oh,
for that,
great,
yeah.
great.
Minus expenses at the police details and things like that.
Yeah.
We pay the Fiesta committee and helps them a little bit. It also goes to the summer learning loss prevention.
So can we talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about that? Now this is for first
Tim,
to
you can
third
hold this.
graders?
Second to
Take a
third
look.
graders
Second to third.
program. It helps kids who have fell behind a little bit on the reading comprehension. So what happens is we have certified teachers from the community. We have about 60 kids. This is about our 5th year doing this. It's right this year. We started out at the Temple because we have no room at the Y right now. So they started at the Temple. We had 20 kids, and we kind of grew. Now we're at West Parish. We have 60 kids, and we have private funding like KPN Savings Bank's help. Applied Materials helps. It costs about $60,000 to run the program because it's an 8-week program during the summertime. And once these kids have done the summertime, they basically are at reading level of their peers. So when they go into the fall, they're not 2 or 3 months behind their peers. They're at equal reading level, which is
Very
a great
cool.
And
success.
are the children's grades 1 through 3? Is that the
No,
age
second to
group?
third.
Second
Oh,
to
second and
yeah,
third
second
grade.
to third, yeah.
Great. And so are they identified in school?
Yep, we work closely with the schools, and they identify kids who need some help. And it's a great program, and it's proven too to show statistics that kids who are at reading level by the 5th grade have a lesser dropout rate when they get to high school.
That's great. Such an
Amazing.
important
Yeah,
program.
it absolutely
and
is.
also getting them at that age group, 2nd and 3rd grade, is such a
That's we
an
need to
important
catch up because
time. Yeah.
if you wait to the 5th and 6th grade, it's almost too late.
Right.
Now, if people
Right.
want to learn more about this program and how they can help out, how could they do that?
Just contact the YMCA.
Okay. And ask for Tim personally?
You can do that if they like.
You see Tim on the street.
And then if people want to register for the race, how can they
Yes.
do that? Can they go online and do that now?
No, registration closed last night at 10 p.m.
Okay.
Because we need time to get everything ready.
Yeah.
But they can come to the Stagefoot Park ball field tomorrow afternoon after 4:15, and register there right on
That's
site.
great. That's
Beautiful.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite Fiesta moment that you might like to share with us, or something fun
well-
from years past?
My fun moment last year was that it stopped thundering, and so we could actually have the race because it was raining all day.
That's right, it was
And
a
then
close call.
and then the skies shone upon us. And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" So that's mine.
Well, I remember we used to start the race right here, and we used to have 600 or 700 runners.
That's what I remember.
That's what
yeah.
I remember too.
And
yeah.
it was not a great moment because you saw, when you have the 7-year-olds with adults and people want to get right out there, it was not the best moment. So we work with the police department. That's why we're at Stagefoot Park.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of better, course for everybody, and it's a lot safer.
Well, congratulations on organizing this and making it such a cool part of the whole
Yeah,
Fiesta
absolutely.
motif.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate your
And
time
thanks for coming
today.
down. It's
Yeah.
great to have you on the
Thank
show.
You. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Having us.
So,
Thank
folks, if
you.
you want to help out the Y and learn more about their summer
Learning loss
prevention program, then you can just contact the YMCA here. It's a Cape Ann North Shore YMCA.
North Shore YMCA.
NorthShoreYMCA.org.
Right.
Okay, so there's that too, and we'll have all these numbers up there for you as well. So
And maybe you can have us back. We can talk about the new Y someday.
let's
Yes. Yes.
let's do it from the new Y.
Yes. As soon as we
Yeah,
break ground.
we were going to ask you questions about the new Y, but we'll have
it's
you up on
coming.
another
Yeah. It's
program.
coming. We'll get there.
It's great.
It's
It's
looking
great.
good.
Hopefully late fall of 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So late fall of 2020.
Late fall, 2020. We have about $5 million
We're holding you
more
to
to
that now.
raise.
Okay, now we're
I
going to
know.
ask you a little bit about
That's okay.
the development. So we're driving by, on the circle, and everybody's seeing what's going on, and it's
Yep.
really exciting. What phase are you in right now?
We're in our first phase, basically. There's a lot of environmental issues up there.
Yeah.
We have to clean up. So we're trying to do that, and hopefully by end of August we should be all set. And then we can start building probably, September, beginning of October. It'll take a little over a year to get built. We've raised about $17 million so far.
It's amazing.
Cheers to that.
Unfortunately, some of that money is going towards acquisition costs and
Yeah.
cleanup,
Yeah.
but it's going to be about all told about a $30 million. But the good thing is we've raised $17 million, and so it kind of shows the community is really behind it.
Yeah.
$5 million more to go, but it's
We're
going to
even
be.
kicking a couple bucks.
We appreciate it. We need all the money we can get, but it's going to be a great thing. It's going to transform how Gloucester what it's all about, and kind of
Oh,
be a
yeah.
healthy community. And the good thing is we're going to have parking spaces up there, which we don't have
Imagine
now.
that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big thing.
Yeah,
So
parking at
we're-
the Y.
we're
Go figure.
looking for it. It's going to be great for all of Cape Ann. It's going to be great. It's
Very
exciting.
Yeah, well, given what the North Shore Y has done in other communities,
Absolutely.
and really beautiful buildings and
That's
great
all
services.
That's all I hear. It's like, why can't we, like with Beverly, the Y, have that?
Yes,
You
right.
know what?
We're-
Be patient. We're finally
Right.
getting
It's coming.
there.
And it looks
Yeah.
like a beautiful building. It's kind of distracting just a little bit because you want to stop and you want to look at the renderings that are on the
Yep.
fence there.
Yep.
And but it just looks like a beautiful design.
Yeah, a
So.
lot of work, but we're getting there. So just again, we have a community phase actually starting in the summertime into the fall to raise that $5 million. But we're optimistic.
That's
Very
great. Well,
cool.
wonderful work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Can't
Thanks.
wait.
Yeah.
Tim Flaherty and Carol Meyer from the Cape Ann YMCA. Thanks
see
so
you
much
to-
for your
we'll
time.
see you
We'll see
tomorrow
you at the
night.
road race
Yeah,
tomorrow
we'll see you
evening,
at the
6
road
p.m.
race.
Down at Stage 4 Park, and
Right.
then right through into Fiesta.
Right into
the
Fiesta.
mayhem.
Yeah,
That's
right
how
into
we want
Fiesta.
it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you,
really
Carol.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Going to
Tim.
Fiesta.
Take care. See you soon. We'll have you back. Yeah.
That was fun. Hey, this is Now We're Here, and I'm Corey Cooker, and this is Maureen Aylward, and we're coming at you from the stage and altar here at St. Peter's Fiesta, the 92nd annual St. Peter's Fiesta, and we're just rattling off one cool guest after the next. Oh, Mrs. Ventimiglia.
Hi, how
Hi,
How
Laura.
are
Good
you?
to meet
I give you a
you.
kiss,
Good
I'd
to
have to
know.
jump
I
over
was
the
just
table,
going
though.
to say, how do I give you a hug? So Corey
So-
and my
Maureen.
son, Maureen,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
but Corey and my son grew up
Yeah.
together. So
That's
it
right,
was
that's
one
right.
house
We're still
around-
hanging out together.
Yeah. So
And
Well-
I spent a lot of time growing up in the Ventimiglia household.
You did.
Or not growing up.
I was just going to say, trouble with the capital
Yeah.
T.
So, Laura, thank you for being a copy of this book.
You're welcome.
And it's just really beautifully illustrated and such a lovely story.
Thank you.
And tell us, as an author, how you came to decide to write a book like this.
So about 4 years ago, my husband and I were coming to Fiesta on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to have all of our grandchildren with us that were alive then. We have 10 grandchildren now, all under the age of 8. But at that point, we only had 5. But we had in-laws. So my daughter-in-law's family, my son-in-law's family were there with us. And so there were about 30 of us walking down here. And as we're walking down, my grandkids are talking about the carnival, the carnival, the carnival. And I'm hearing other people, tourists, other people, even from Gloucester, talking about the carnival, carnival, carnival. And I thought, what a shame.
Right.
Because I realized the further away from the original generation, the less we know about the tradition and the purpose of what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, of course, we let them do the carnival, but they also had to do the other things too, go to the other things. And at the end of the day, as we were walking home or walking to the car, we walked by Joe Novello and Mike Linquater at the St. Peter's Committee kiosk. And so I stopped and said, did you ever think of having somebody write a children's book about what the Fiesta is, about the meaning, not the activities, but what are those events, what do those activities mean, and how did they get started? And right away, Michael Quata says, you do it. And I said, no, you don't understand. So we back and forth, and I walked away thinking, well, why not? Because the notion of family and tradition was one that I had recently started to work on in terms of my company, Buttietti Press, that I had started. And I thought, well, it's consistent with that theme, preserving, tradition and family heritage.
We should say that Buttietti Press is basically it's a publishing company for
family
this
research.
ilk, family research.
Right.
Family
Thank
research,
you.
history,
The history.
ancestry,
Right.
and
as a
publishing
way,
stories.
Right. It's
Yeah.
as a way to preserve one's family history and so forth. So anyway, I gave it a shot and worked with the committee for about a year, making sure that the things that they wanted in it were included. I did research for about another 6 or 8 months because everybody has their story about Fiesta.
Yeah.
And 3 generations later, the stories are a little bit different than that first generation.
True.
So I spent a lot of time at the Cape Ann Museum and at the library going through the archives, looking for the earliest accounts of Gloucester Daily Times stories. And I was really pleased to find that in the olden days, the articles covered a lot of the kind of information that you would want, not the sensationalized stuff that we sometimes hear today, but the meaning behind some of the religious traditions even, how it got started, which was consistent with the stories that I had heard, because it was a group of women who started it, say in the Novena. Didn't start as a fiesta, didn't start as the procession of St. Peter.
So could you take us inside the book for a minute
Sure.
and tell us about a couple of the stories that you present and maybe some
Sure.
of your traditions that you enjoy working on?
And if you're just tuning in, that we are with Laura Ventimiglia, the author of Nona, What is St. Peter's Fiesta?
Oh, and while I'm looking, let me say the Italian version is online.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
that's
it's
Grazie.
translated, yeah. Prego.
And you can get this at
So thank you again for asking that. During Fiesta weekend, the book is available right here at the altar, where the St. Peter's Committee is set up. It costs $20. The whole $20 goes to the committee. We paid for the illustrator, we paid to have it printed and the layout, but many of us didn't take any money for it. We volunteered our talents and our services. The Cape Ann Museum, I didn't take, I got 24 books for the copies for my grandchildren and children. But the intent was to preserve the tradition and have it continue so the children, the upcoming generations knew what it was about. So, all right, one of my favorites is the page of the Novena.
Let me do this.
So, as you probably know, the Novena just finished last evening, and it's 9 days of prayer, and it's a real unique experience. So women and men, but mostly women, I think the paper noted today, the Gloucester Times noted today, that it's one of the more female-oriented events of the Fiesta. People come together for 9 days and pray, and they say the rosary in English, and they say the rosary in Italian, sing it in Italian, and then they sing about 20 songs in Italian. None of us can carry a tune. I used to go years ago, and then I stopped, and then like every once in a while I'll take a year or two off, then I'm back at it, because the sense of community and just people who don't see each other very often, and people who are friends but don't see each other very often. But there's something about singing those songs in Italian that's really exciting. And it's the Sicilian dialect, which is even more difficult.
Right.
So the illustrator did a really good job, I think, of showing the sense of the music, the musicality of the Novena.
And this is Maura O'Connor.
Maura O'Connor,
Right.
yeah. So a shout out to Maura O'Connor because she did a tremendous job. A recent graduate at the time from Montserrat.
Yeah.
And I had looked for local artists around Gloucester because I wanted to keep it really local to Gloucester. And several people started and stopped. And then I called Montserrat. and was referred to Maura, and she jumped right on it.
Yeah,
I have to
it's
say,
beautifully
she did it.
illustrated.
Really?
And
Yeah.
she had never been to Fiesta before.
Oh.
But we worked tremendously, took a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of time working on photos and
Yeah.
so forth.
So
That's one of my
so
favorites.
Navina, and another special one that you might like to.
So another special one, I think, is the illustration that she did of, well, of course, everybody likes Ambi sausage,
Of course.
right?
Okay.
So one of the things we agreed to was that we wouldn't use, I hope I'm not saying like too much out of school.
No.
No.
But one of the things we agreed to is we wouldn't use any Gloucester Italian names, because then, you know, you leave one person out or somebody gets attention.
And you're asking
So
for
it took me like
Yeah.
6 months to come up with Sicilian Italian names that weren't in Gloucester. So this is Ambi's sausage stand, and Dominic, whose sausage stand it is in the book, is Ambi's middle name.
Right, right.
But that was really
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
doing that. And I think just the, let's see, the cover picture. This is it. How about this? So that's the picture on the cover, and it's just, I think, absolutely phenomenally done. And every time I look at that as the spread, I get
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
lovely-
she did
it's
a
a
really
lovely
good
thing.
job. And she worked hard. I'll say that she worked hard to get the environment just
Yeah.
so. So the buildings, the wires,
Right, the
things like that.
confetti and everything, the
yeah,
roses
Yeah, she
and-
did a really
That's
good
really
job.
cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I could probably have a great one on every page, but
Yeah.
there you go.
So the Gloucester Stage Company has made a play
Yes.
from this, and they're going to be on next,
Yes.
following you.
Yeah.
And what's that like to have this move forward, not only as a children's book, but now a play for children?
So it's a really good question. It's really exciting. And all right, so I cried through the whole thing last year. They did it and Heidi will go into details, but
Yeah.
they did it for the first time last year because the book came out last year. So I went and stood in the back and thought, oh, this will be interesting. And they just did such an amazing job that I did. I just cried. And I had, of course, my grandchildren there and and my children and stuff like that. But the most exciting thing last year was St. Peter was live. Like they had one of the actresses was St. Peter, and the others would picked her up and carried her around, and you know they did the Viva San Pietro and stuff like that. And I said afterwards how great that was. Well, it turned out that they couldn't find a statue of St. Peter to carry in the play, and so one of the kids said, "Well, what so and so's light and she's small. Why don't we just carry her?" And I think
great
that
idea.
was the best. That was the best thing. So they did a really good job.
That's awesome.
That's
And
wonderful.
Heidi will tell you this too, but it's worth hearing twice. There's been so much interest in it that they're moving it this year into the main theater. Usually the playtime stories are in the lobby. It's
Yeah.
in the main theater this year.
Well,
That's great.
that's
Yeah,
great, Laura.
so-
Thank you so much for
Thank
being on. Now
you.
we're here.
Thank you.
Really
It's just-
appreciate it.
it.
Laura
Yeah.
Ventimiglia. No. What is St. Peter's Fiesta? Available now. You can get it right here at the altar during
Altar,
Fiesta.
right.
I've seen it in the bookstores here
Yeah,
as well.
the bookstore, Toodaloo's, Cape Air Museum, Tux Candy, and I
Yeah.
think the Building Center has some, and always online at Buttietti Press.
There
That's
you go.
great.
Right.
Thank
Laura,
you so
thank
much.
you. It's lovely,
Thank you.
lovely to meet
Thanks.
you.
I'll give you a
Very
kiss,
good
hug
to
and
see
kiss
you.
afterwards.
Absolutely
Okay.
right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was so wonderful to talk with Laura. And we have the folks from the Gloucester Stage coming up, Heidi Dalen
Now, how cool
And
is this? We have the author of the
Heidi-
book, and then now
and
the
Hello.
adaptation we're talking
And then
about.
we
Hi,
have-
Heidi, good to
everyone.
see you.
we have
Come
April
on in,
Smith
get in. Get in,
and
girls.
Leah Numerosi.
Hi,
Say hello.
ladies.
Hello. Hi.
You're in charge of that microphone, Heidi.
Okay. These are two of my actors that we are going to be performing Nona, What is St. Peter's Fiesta, live at Gloucester Stage, 10 a.m. Saturday morning. My apprentice, Liana, has taken the book and made it into a full play. And we have about 20 youth acting workshop students that are going to be performing.
Right.
And it's really exciting because we're going to be on the stage this year.
Yeah.
That's right.
And behind the actors, we have all the illustrations from the book as
Oh,
well.
really? How
Yep.
did you get those illustrations? Did you have them blown up? or-
No, what we do, it's a slideshow.
oh, that's
So
great.
we do, and normally we have playtime stories in the lobby.
Yeah.
It goes all through July and August at Gloucester Stage with different children's stories every week.
Mm-hmm.
And we have televisions in the lobby, so the illustrations are behind the the children on the television screen. But since we're going to be on the stage, which is we've never done it in the 5-year history of Playtime Stories, and Laura's book is certainly worth a special event.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know the kids are excited about it too, and they can tell you a little bit about who they're playing.
Yes.
So April, tell us who you're playing and what your role is.
I'm playing Mr. Bruno. He is he knows a lot about the greasy pole, and he talks about it, and he explains it to Amelia, Joey, and Jacob, who are the kids who are asking all the questions about it.
That's great. And Leah, what is your role?
I'm playing Amelia, one of the cousins. She has the closest relationship with Nona, and she knows a lot about the St. Peter's Fiesta.
Right. So what's special about this play for you girls?
It teaches younger kids what the actual fiesta is about, and it's not just about the games and rides.
Mm-hmm.
And it when I first saw it, when I was that age, I would never have known about everything that goes on behind the fiesta, like the Seine boat races, and then I learned more about everything like the greasy pole.
Yeah, and the traditions behind it.
Well, I think even if you think you know a lot about Fiesta, if you come to hear the story, that you're going to learn more. I mean, even these girls felt like they learned more. And we have a procession. We have our own St. Peter as well.
Yeah,
And
Laura just talked about that.
and St. Peter is carried around. So it's very exciting. And we do other things too. You hear the story, and then what else do we do, girls?
We get to there's crafts afterwards every time, and it's really fun. We get to teach the kids about how to make the crafts and everything. And this year we're doing the Seine boats, and we're gonna race them, and we're also doing fish magnets.
That sounds
So
fun.
everyone's going to be able to make their own Seine boat. We're going to get big tubs of water in the lobby of the theater. Oops, don't tell anyone at the
Right.
theater that we're
Yeah.
doing that. And it's Saturday morning. Everyone in theater will be sleeping. And then we're going to race the Seine boats, and everyone gets to take their own boat home, or they can make a fish magnet too.
Great.
And there's also there's free coffee, and what else, Leah?
There are donuts.
Free coffee and donuts as well for everyone.
Well, at
So
some point, we're going to get some fried dough and zazits down there, too. You know?
that would be
See?
good.
That's next year.
That would be good. Well, I did tell my apprentice, I said, now, prop-wise, do we have an Italian sausage sandwich?
Right.
Or what do we do? She's
Yeah.
like, Heidi, I'm making so many props already. She's from Kentucky, so this is all new to her.
That's
and
really
she's doing an
amazing.
amazing job.
That's
So
hilarious. So once again, if people want to enjoy the play, Saturday?
Saturday, 10 a.m., Gloucester Stage Company. You can make reservations online, and I would highly suggest making reservations online.
Okay.
And the whole thing lasts about an hour between the play and then doing the crafts. So it's it's for 2 years old and up. And even if you don't have a 2-year-old, you can come, right, Leah?
Yeah.
She had an aunt who wanted to come, and I said, yes, you can come without a child. That's fine. Everyone will learn. And also, Laura will be there
Great.
signing her book.
That's great.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy the book after you see the play, she will have them there for sale, and she will sign them, and you can meet the author. You can meet her live and in person.
I love that this includes children. I love this part.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful activity.
It's a great event. I was so, when I saw the book, I was so excited. And we try to do, in Playtime Stories, local authors. We've done Virginia Lee Burton weeks and things like that. And when the book came out, I said, this is perfect.
It really is. Well, Heidi and April and Leah, thanks so much for coming on Now We're Here.
Thank you for having us.
Good luck in the play.
Yeah,
and have
congratulations on being a
fun.
part of it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks, Heidi.
fiesta.
Thanks.
People want to learn more about the stage company or the youth acting workshops. How can they do that?
GloucesterStage.com, and nice of you to mention that, Corey. We have a new youth acting workshop program starting on July 12th, and these girls are part of the youth program. So if you want to perform in Nona next year, because this is going to be a yearly event, I'm pretty sure, start taking classes now. You'll be ready to perform.
Well, if you want to carry a
wonderful.
redheaded St. Peter next year, I might throw my hat in the ring. You think you can
Sounds
pick me up
good.
over your
I
front?
could
Yeah.
work with you.
you
I
can
could
do
get
that.
you ready. I could get
Pencil me in.
Actually, we have a redheaded St. Peter this year.
Hey, now you finally got it right.
Naya Gibson is playing St. Peter.
Oh, yeah,
So-
that's great.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
So we do have a redheaded St. Peter.
You're out, Corey.
Yeah,
You're
well,
out.
look at you.
you got to beat Naya out for
It's
it
always
next
St.
year.
Joseph. I'll figure out one to say. But thank you,
That's
Heidi.
great.
Thank you, April and
Thank
Leah.
you
That was
so
awesome.
much.
Thank you.
We'll see you Saturday.
Yep.
But Nona, what is St. Peter's Fiesta at the Gloucester Stage Company?
Okay, we've got the rowers coming up next.
Yeah, here we go. Keep them coming.
So Cindy Perry and Caleb Perry, as well as Leanne Palazzola. Rowers, come on.
Here we go, one after the other. Folks, if you just tuned in, this is Now We're Here. That's Maureen Aylward.
Hello.
Corey Cookroom coming at you from the Fiesta stage here in downtown
Come
Gloucester,
right
the
in and you
92nd
can
annual
pull
St.
in,
Peter's
pull in
Fiesta.
close.
I have to say, hi David. I didn't know that was David there. You're not interviewing me right now, are you?
We're on
Yeah,
live right
we're
now.
on live.
But
I thought this was a written interview.
No,
Oh.
no,
I have been on the
it's
water
not.
all morning. I haven't
That's
showered.
good.
That's great.
that's good.
That's
Oh my
great.
God. That's fun.
All right, so right off the top, can we just, you're part of obviously the women's steamboat races, right? And what can you just walk us through for those who aren't familiar with it? It takes right off on Pavilion Beach. Just kind of give me the A to Z on how the event unfolds.
Okay, so I'm probably going to let Leanne answer a lot of these questions. I'm a relative newcomer
Okay.
to these races. I started about 6 or 7 years ago.
Well, tell us your story. That's good.
Something
you
I
started?
always wanted to do.
Right.
Something I always wanted to be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to break into. We were just talking about how hard it is to break into these races.
And why is that?
Because there's only so many boats, only so many teams,
Yeah.
and people are on a waiting list to get on a boat. And it's hard to put a team together of people who want to do this because you prepare for it for a long time, and it's 11 minutes of your life.
I mean, it's
you
a
know?
lot of work for that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's something I always wanted to do. I'm a water sports person, but I'd never done that. Finally broke into it. Very happy to break into it. My team's relatively new. It's fun to be part of just the Fiesta because it's something I've grown up with.
Yeah.
I'm a Parisi,
Yep.
so I grew up here, and it's just a different part of the Fiesta to be part of, and I love it. I love it.
And then what's it
And-
like having your son?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Caleb, tell us about your story, and you can hold this right up close.
Oh, okay. So there weren't enough teams for the junior men's rowing competition last year, and I don't really want the tradition to die out. So last minute, I grabbed a couple of people. We formed a team. We just got our last member, I think, just this morning.
No kidding.
Great.
So
Good
Maureen,
for
there's
you.
still time. If you want.
Men's.
And we've been having practices at 4:30 every morning, and our race is on Friday.
You're getting up at 4:30 in the morning to practice?
Yeah.
So is it fortnight until like 4 o'clock or so, and then off to the
No,
boat?
we wake up at 4:30. And
Really?
then, yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks.
So
So-
how's it feel? I mean, you feel
Yeah.
like you're building up some muscle here, or what?
I feel terrible.
Yeah. Beat you up, huh?
But the lack of sleep, getting up too early at your age, and
Yeah.
also doing the rowing. So how have you? So what are you looking forward to for the race?
I'm looking for it to be end.
What did my mom get me into?
Yeah. No, I enjoy it a lot. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And everybody else on the team absolutely loves it. And waking up that early doesn't even, it's not even that much different from getting up for school for some of us.
So it's a big deal that you helped to sort of save this area of the competition. And what is that like? Picking up that it's a leadership thing that you did. You took it on yourself. You found the people to do it. Tell me about what that's been like for you. To take on this leadership position.
I just kind of talked to a couple of my friends, said, hey, do you want to be on a rowing team? And they said, okay. I don't feel like a leader. I don't feel like I'm a captain or anything. I'm just a member of the team.
You're being modest.
Well, so what have you learned about yourself being out there and training and seeing what the excitement build for the event?
I've learned that I'm weaker than I thought.
Yeah.
And that when you're on the water for that long, you start to get a bit dizzy later on in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll pass. That's something.
I hope.
But then we get back here and party, and then you get dizzy all over again. But that'll come later in
Different
life.
kind of dizzy. No, they didn't even hold junior races last year
Yeah,
for the
right.
boys, and nobody wants to see that die out. So I teach at the high school, and I put it on the announcements, and I, begged my students to get some teams together, and just talking to people and spreading the word, we finally pulled it together. But it wasn't easy. Like a lot of these teams, people would come up and say, "Oh, I got 10," and then they're like, "Oh, now I'm down 4," and I'm up. And you can probably speak to that a little bit. With your
Right.
Yeah.
This is
what you
Leanne
went through.
Palazzola.
Leanne Palazzola, please tell us
longtime
about.
rower.
I'm just going to feed off what Caleb said about keeping the tradition going, and that's how it all started. When we started rowing back in the 90s, it was all about, I saw my dad when I was 9 years old. I saw him row a boat, and he didn't have any sons, and I said, I'm going to do that. And they laughed at me and said, nope, you're not going to do that. Women don't row same boats, is what I was told. So that was a struggle to get that going. So when he says, let's hang on to the tradition, that's what it's about. You have a lot of women rowers who either had husbands or brothers who were rowing and wanted to do it, but just no women, no women. So in 1995, they got the first women's crew together and we rowed against the men. And that's how it all started. So I love when I hear the younger generation coming up and saying, we got to keep this tradition going because it was so hard to get it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, Leah, for those who don't know, can you just sort of walk us through what a steamboat is, where this happens off of Pavilion Beach, how far you're rowing out and back, like what the competition is like?
So the seine boats are the old seining boats they used off the fishing boats where they rowed out and they put the nets around and then they hauled the fish in. So it became a competition between the fishing boats of Gloucester. That's how it all started originally, as far as I know, historically. So the race is off of Pavilion Beach. It's a nautical mile, so it's half mile out, turn a flag, half mile back in. It doesn't matter what the weather conditions are. Rain, 4-foot squalls we've rowed in. I know you've rowed in bad weather as well. It's grueling, and people can work out for years and do endurance training, and they get in the same boat, and it's a completely different beast. What did I get myself into?
There's nothing that can prepare you for it except doing it, except just being in the boat. Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about what the race is like from inside the boat.
Oh.
It's ugly.
It's so nerve-wracking.
Well, give us an appreciation of
the
what
start of the
what
race.
ladies are doing.
Yeah, the start of the race is just nerve-wracking, you know, lining up. The nerves are going, the adrenaline's pumping, and for me, I just want to go. But it's, you know, it's inch, take an inch, give an inch, take an inch, and starts can go 10, 15 minutes. Line them up again.
Right,
bring
you're not
them
like a
back.
runner getting at the blocks and
And
the
go.
gun goes
You have a
off.
gun and you go. That's
Yeah.
not the way it works. And it's yeah. So when I got my girls in the boat on, we had eliminations on Sunday. Said I'm going to try and start this race as fast as I can because I've been in that seat as a rower.
Yeah.
And now I'm coaching, so I know what that feels like. So let's just go. I want to get it going.
Yeah.
How do you like? I'm
It's
sorry.
physically hard. Like it's,
Mike,
I mean,
you
in
get Mike
addition,
Sandy.
in addition to the nerves, it is physically the hardest thing you will ever do.
Yeah.
The boats are what, 2,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds?
The oars
The-
themselves are
Can be up to 40 pounds, 30 to 40 pounds. I do the Blackburn every year. That's a 21-mile race. It's easy compared to
Really?
this 1 mile. Absolutely.
So what's the difference?
Oh, well,
because
I do
you're
it
in
in
a
a different
team
type of
and
craft.
a boat.
Yeah, and I do it in a 4 or 6-man boat. This is a 10-man boat. It's just a whole. You pace yourself in that, and you can't pace yourself in this race. You have to be all out all the time. It's I don't know. It's physically the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
And how
For
long
sure.
are these races lasting for those who
I would say 11 minutes.
11 hours.
imagine that? Yeah.
Yeah,
11
Feels
hours.
like
11
11
minutes.
hours when you're out
Feels
there.
like it, for sure.
But it's about 12 minutes,
Yeah.
13 minutes is, and it's all out. It's you know, you start at the race, you don't breathe for the first 15, 20 strokes. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need to breathe, but your lung is floating out in the harbor somewhere and you're like, why am I doing this? Why? But next year you come back and you do it
Yeah,
again.
about a third of the way out, we're
Yeah.
always like,
Why do we do
again?
this?
Why am I doing this?
So, Leah, I want you to answer. Leah, so, are you?
Oh, Leah.
How in tune are you with the tides for that day and the wind? Is that much of a factor? Not at all. It doesn't
Nope,
matter.
we're racing, we're practicing, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
Going out there. We
Interesting.
don't rely on that. We don't look at that. Whatever it is,
can't
we
prepare
we
for that.
prefer low tide because it's a shorter race, but it doesn't always happen that way.
So can you remind us about when the races begin and where they're going to be off Pavilion Beach? And
They're going to be off Pavilion Beach Friday night. The women kick it off with the races at 4:45. So, and then the Greasy Pole will come after that. But the women kick it off 4:45 Friday. So come down and watch them. And then the junior girls will go after that. And the junior girls are unbelievable. You've got these little 8th grade girls rowing the same boat, holding the same oar in the same race as men.
How cool is that?
And
That's
they're
great.
doing it. And they're loving it, which is great because they have dads who are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you don't have a son and you watch your daughter. I think there's a pride there that can't be explained.
How
So
do you like-
Caleb, when is your race?
It's on Friday morning at 10 a.m., I think, right?
Okay, Friday morning at 10 a.m.
Are you ready?
No, I don't think I ever will be done.
Go for it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and
Well, how do you like
talking about
Audacious'
this.
chances? Are we looking good?
Audacious is not in the race this
Oh,
year.
no?
No.
You just
You
coach?
have Extraordinary, Backlash, and Rogue, and I think it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
3 veteran crews, all great rowers. Very close race.
Great.
Well, cheers to
great.
all the
Yes.
competitors. And thank you so much, Leanne Palazola, Cindy and Caleb Perry. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank
Good
you.
luck this weekend. Bona Fiesta. Yeah.
Cindy's staying.
Oh, Cindy, are you
Cindy, you
staying?
sticking around?
You talking with
Nicole.
Nicole?
Hi.
Nicole
My
Kookaroo.
lifelong friend here.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah, well,
wonderful.
we've been doing novena together since we were 5.
Yes.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show. Maybe come over here a little bit, and you can hold this between the two of you.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, so Nicole. So we want to talk about the rosary. We want to talk about your grandmother's traditions and how involved your family was with this Fiesta.
So I've been so fortunate to have the experience of growing up with my grandmother and her sisters and participating in the St. Peter's Novena, as well as having a parade float every year. My sisters and I, my cousins and I, were always on a float, something that my grandmother and her sisters would, create these beautiful religious floats for the procession, and we were there every year. Cindy and I oftentimes would be together in the procession, and we've just kept it going, and we're so blessed to have that tradition and that memory. And I've done it with my own children, and I know Cindy has as well. And then now the ladies at the novena have the next generation has taken it over, which is just so beautiful to watch, to see Rosie Berger and the years of blood, sweat, and tears that she's put into the novena, and to pass it on to Jean Marie Linquata. And Jean has a wonderful group of women, and they invite us in, and everyone's welcome.
And that's what the whole fiesta was sort of grew out of, was just the ladies doing the novena, the 9 days of prayer for their husbands who were out at sea.
Right.
I mean, they sent, the story as I understand it, and I could be wrong, but as I understand it, they sent to Sicily or Italy for a statue, and when it came, I think they were expecting something like a foot or 2 feet tall, and it came and it was life size, and they didn't know what to do with it, so they ended up, they started their novenas and they started a procession with the statue, but then it turned into this, what it is now, much, much bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Am I
amazing
right about
what's
that? Do you know
possible.
that? the
No, I
history?
think you're right.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
you're right, because we knew that the novena was actually preceded all of this.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
what that's the root of what the fiesta really is a novena. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk. You want to talk about the parade a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk
Sure,
about that.
sure.
And how the family got involved in that. What entailed, like, what did the
Yeah, what does
floats
a float?
entail?
Yeah, what does a float look like? That was my question too.
The floats often depict a religious scene
From the Bible.
whether it be the Blessed Mother. One year, my grandmother had us, she recreated Our Lady of Good Voyage Church. And so we were there. Another year, my aunts and my cousins created the Last Supper. So that one was probably the most fun because all the kids actually got to eat and we could actually move.
Yeah.
On some of the other religious floats, my grandmother would be like, you have to stay like this.
Yeah.
And you had your hair in curlers the night before. You had to sleep sitting up with those sponge curlers in your hair and a ton of
Sharp
hairspray.
ones, not the sponge ones.
And so year after year, they would just create these beautiful scenes, biblical scenes.
I think the last one that we did together with
With
Nicole
Nicole
and Michelle.
our childhood friends, and it was the rosary, and we
Yeah.
walked with rosary
a
beads.
giant rosary bead made out of roses, rosary bead chain around. It was 4 of us or 5 of us around. In the center was Michelle as the Blessed Mother.
Yes.
I
How
think
much
we were 12 or
time-
13 years old, and she was wearing heels like this
Yeah.
for the whole parade.
How much time does it take for you to do a float or to put together some of this?
Honestly, the
Yeah.
adults put the float together. We didn't.
Yeah, it's
actually have a
very
lot to do with
time-consuming.
that.
The weather plays a factor. Someone with a garage is always really helpful. My aunt, Nina Conte, had a beautiful home on the boulevard, still in the family, with a large garage. And so you could back up the trailer into the garage, and the women would work on these beautiful, paper flowers and these just gorgeous backdrops. And they would spend hours and days putting it together leading up to. And then the morning of, you're sitting through the whole mass, on the float waiting, oftentimes in the heat or in the rain, as we know with New England weather.
Yep.
So
Right,
very
especially this year.
time-consuming, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I was just going to say,
yeah.
the labor of love.
That's what I'm trying to, find out more about and what
That is
that's
the
like
only
for you.
reason you do it. You know, it's a love of family, community, the tradition. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now now what are the next few days like for you? Is it just a
Oh,
blur?
Yeah, now it's a
little bit of a
little
blur,
bit of
yeah.
a blur. Cindy finished rowing. We just
Yep.
finished the novena. So now it's just time to spend with our family and our friends and see friends and family members that we don't get to see sometimes until Fiesta arrives.
They come home for Fiesta, not Christmas.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
That's
Right.
so true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of cooking in Cindy's house, a lot of cooking in my house.
I gotta
And-
get to it. I'm
Yeah.
behind schedule.
Can I pop by?
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Corey's always interested in an invitation for food.
Okay.
Well, because you just remember growing up, it's
Oh,
for
so your
everyone's
family must
doors
have
are
done it
open.
too,
Right,
Oh
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Always.
family was the top of, well, my mom's side, the end of Hovey Street, top of Hampton Hill into Granite Street.
Yep.
There were always, it was a big feast there, and then of course we walking down the parades as
Yep.
well too. Like that was always that was like the biggest thing for me was actually the parade.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Even before the
Yeah.
rides and all that. As a kid, it was always about the parade.
And I would plead to any young families to put together a float. The Fiesta Committee will set you up financially. They'll even help you get a trailer.
Huh.
And we want to see the tradition continuing, and we want to see now the next generation, that the women that are younger than Cindy and I, that have young children, and get them involved
Well, not
and
much
take the
younger
next step.
than you
But
and Cindy.
not too much younger.
Right, yeah. We
Young
can't-
enough
Yeah.
that
But,
Yeah,
no,
but get
actually,
involved
the young
somehow
kids, even
in
the
the
high school
traditions,
kids,
yeah.
they really are interested in it.
Yeah.
They want to know about the history of it. They, I have kids going into college now. When they go away to college, that's what they tell everybody about. When they say, "Where are you from?" The Fiesta automatically comes up.
right.
Some people have heard of it and some haven't, but to them, it's
Yeah.
such an important part of their identity.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear the young people. My son just went on vacation for a while, and he didn't realize that he was going to be missing Fiesta. And on the way to the airport, he's like, "I'm missing Fiesta."
Yeah.
So
Oh, so a quick anecdote. You reminded me of this. I don't know if this really
Yeah.
has anything to do with anything, but I was in Ireland in April, and I was backstage at a Dropkick Murphys concert,
Mhm.
and one of the couples I was with was from Gloucester, and we were talking about the Fiesta, and he mentioned something about the greasy pole, and a woman comes across the room and she goes, "What did you just say?" And I said, "Greasy pole." And she said, "Where are you from? Are you from Gloucester, Massachusetts?" I was like, "Yes." Oh my gosh. So the word greasy pole just triggered.
No
she knew
kidding.
right away.
Synonymous with greasy pole.
Well, she happens to be from here also.
Oh, no kidding.
that's great.
Which is crazy that I met her over there.
I
She
know,
lives down
right.
the street from me.
You're
That's
kidding.
cool.
That's fantastic.
Oh, so quickly,
That's a great
so
story.
if people do want to get involved and help out in any way, whether it's with the novena, be a part of the parade, what's the easiest way for them
The
to get
novena
involved?
is open to everybody.
Okay.
Anybody can come down and say the prayers. They even, if you don't know Italian or Sicilian, that's okay because they give you booklets and you can
Everything's
sing along.
translated.
Everything's
Mhm.
translated.
Right.
Yeah, they started doing that recently, translating it. So it's nice to sing in Italian, but to know what you're saying. The words have a lot of meaning to them. They're prayers. They were singing prayers, and they're beautiful. Really, it's the sentiment in them is really beautiful. So anybody can do that. That's open for everybody, and it's been getting bigger every year, I think.
Yes, so Jean Marie had said the other night that Rosie always set up about 10 to 12 tables, and this year I think we were 15, and even last night for the Mass, we were busting at the seams at the
Yeah.
Legion. It was standing room only. So it's always starts about 10 days before the actual feast,
Mhm.
always ends with a Mass, and then we walk St. Peter down to Beach Court, and then back to the club in preparation for this weekend.
And when we don't
Wow.
have a practice conflict, I make my Sainbow crew go to novena too.
That's great.
I do.
Well, Nicole Kukru and Cindy Perry, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
on
Thank you.
Now We're Here. And we'll look for you out on the water, and we'll see you around Fiesta, I
Sounds
guess.
great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Great.
much
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us. That was a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you for doing this.
Thank you
Bona
for going
Fiesta.
over that.
Bona Fiesta.
Awesome. Well, so that concludes another Now We're Here, Maureen. That was
Yes,
fun, huh?
That was fun. It's
Yeah.
always nice to be focusing on a festival like this. That's such a big part of the Gloucester community, and also Cape Ann. Everyone seems to love it. There's such a wonderful buzz, and it's just a great time of year.
Yeah, so you have a chance, come down and check out the 92nd Annual St. Peter's Fiesta. We want to thank our guests, Laura Ventimiglia, Heidi Dahlen, Leah Numerosi, April Smith, Carol Meyer, Tim Flaherty, Cindy Perry, Kayla Perry, Leanne Palazzola, Nicole Kukuru, and Jimmy Tarantino, and our crew, Maureen.
That's right. Lisa Smith, Becky Tober, Matt McMakin, Eric Archer, as well as our interns, Seamus Swift, Nick Endicott, and Connor Murphy. And we can't forget David Lufkin, who's our cameraman.
Great job, Dave. Great eye.
And special thanks to my pal, Corey Kukuru, for being my co-host.
Thank you, Maureen. And Bona Fiesta to you.
Yeah, viva.
All right, we'll see you next time, folks. So Now We're Here.